uh, our students have to take a ACT or SAT test, obviously, to go to college. Last year, 1.6 million students took the PSAT test here in the United States, and Luke finished in the top 50,000 in terms of that score. And from the National Merit Semifinalist Committee, he's what is called a commended student. So very impressive, very well-rounded student. I'm very proud to introduce to you Luke Poteet.
Thank you, Mr. Whiting and Mr. Miner, for those kind words. I appreciated it very much. But I'd just like to thank the Optimist Club, and I'd like to thank the town of Prescott Valley for giving me this award. I'd also like to thank my parents and my little sister, and all my family and my friends that really just push me to be my best and do my best every day, and always represent our family well, always represent the town of Prescott Valley well, and just, be a light in everyone's life. So I just thank you guys for that.
We'd like to honor you with just a few mementos, a certificate, and a paperweight, and we'd like to invite our president of the Optimist Club up, Dr. Butch Miller. And we'll let him do the honors as far as presenting the certificate. And if you want to read the certificate, Butch.
Okay, the Optimist Club of Yavapai County certify that Luke Poteet has been named September Student of the Month for Bradshaw Mountain High School.
And what we'd like you to do is introduce your parents and your sister, and if the parents would like to say a few words. I don't know if Butch would like to say a few words. No? Okay. So come on up.
All right.
So you want to introduce your
Absolutely. Parents? This is my mom, Regan. This is my dad, Tim, and that's my little sister, Lydia, and she's a 7th grader at Bradshaw Mountain Middle School.
We just want to say a quick thank you for all the opportunities that Luke's been able to participate in this community of Prescott Valley. He's been able to not only have a great education through the Humboldt School District, but also to have opportunities that he may not have in other places. So we're very grateful for that, and we're very proud of him, and we look forward to what's ahead and what's in store for him. Thank you.
Mayor Skoog says I'm next. My husband's version was pretty concise. Obviously, Mama Bear's heart is swelling with pride, but truly with a humble pride. I'm very amazed at even listening to other people read all that Luke does. When he passed us both up as a 12-year-old, I said, I need to put a brick on his head to slow him down in growth physically. And then the rest of high school career has been all we could do just to keep up and say, put it on a calendar, tell me where I get to be and where I get to sit and where I get to watch you do the awesome things that you're doing. And his little sister's not far behind. And as an educator myself in this district, I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Miner, to all the faculty and staff at all the schools. They are the unsung heroes, too, that stay the extra hours and take the long trips on, give up their weekends so that our kids can have the opportunity to go forth and, as Luke said, be a light and shine, not just of themselves, but of where they've come from. So we want to thank all of you for your support.
Well, we appreciate you all being here, Luke, and the support you have from your family. We appreciate the time and effort you put in, and it makes us at Prescott Valley very proud. So congratulations.
Well, congratulations, Luke, and keep up the good work, okay? Good, thank you.
Hey, Luke, go to Michigan.
Okay. Mike, we're not done yet. Okay. Now we'll move on to certificates.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Certificate of Appreciation to Sarah Goodman for 10 years of service. Judge, you have any comments? Diana, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, we do have a few of them here for Sarah.
Okay, great.
Sarah has been dedicated to the town of Prescott Valley for 10 years now. She started off in the mailroom in 2007 and was there until September of 2013. She delivered mail to all of the departments. Her outgoing, cheery personality allowed her to build rapport with everyone and really get to know others in the different departments. In 2014, Sarah became a part of the Prescott Valley Magistrate Court. She brings positive energy, a big smile, and fun music to the department. Her colleagues also enjoy her delicious pumpkin cheesecake. Thank you, Sarah, for your hard work, commitment, and dedication to the town of Prescott Valley. Congratulations and happy anniversary.
Thank you, Diane. And the judge is here. I'm not sure if she's in trouble or not. Judge?
Well, I wanted to add comments that I'm really happy Sarah's working for the court. She's demonstrated she's an excellent employee. When we had a vacancy in an important position in the court, Sarah stepped forward, volunteered. She learned something totally out of her duties. She was really a lifesaver, and that was greatly appreciated. The court administrator, who she actually responds to directly, Brenda Martinez, is also here to perhaps make a brief statement as well.
Sarah, so happy to have you part of our team, and you bring great work to the department. Thank you.
Mike, any comments?
Well, as usual, we always appreciate our employees and the fact that they spend time, commitment, effort in our various departments, and 10 years is quite an achievement. And we hope you'll be here for another 10 years at least. And we know that our court does need all the help it can muster. And those with the experience, background, and the commitment to continue, we appreciate that anytime you can help the judge. So thank you for your 10 years of service. Sure. I'll read this. Yeah. Appreciation Award from the town of Prescott Valley presented to Sarah Goodman, an appreciation for 10 years of dedicated service from September 2007 to September 2017. Just felt like the other day, right, when you started. So we'd like to hear from you. Have a few words.
Oh, well, when I started here, I came from a coordinator position at this Prescott College Service Center. I ran their mailroom generally. And my daughter was merely 9 years old. Of course, she's now all grown up and starting a family of her own. So some of the employees that still work for the town are a little amazed at how she's grown. And I've often received compliments about my cheery disposition and how much I've matured since I've started working here. I've learned quite a bit. I've met a lot of people, and the town of Prescott Valley is just an amazing place to work. The people that I work with are like family, and I look forward to another several years of service for now. 10, maybe 10.
And we did want to give you your 10-year pin with the emerald in it, so as you walk the halls and work in the court, that they'll know you have an emerald, and that stands for your 10 years of service. So wear it proudly.
Chris wants to take a picture.
All right. Sarah, let's have your family stand up so they know who they are. All right?
Sarah, thank you and congratulations. Keep up the good work. Judge, thank you. Thank you so much. Take good care. Okay, next we have certificate of appreciation to Bob Todd for 20 years of service. There he is. Come on up, Bob. Sarah, Diane, do you have anything to say about Bob?
Yes, we do, Mayor.
Come on up, Bob. Ivan, I'm sure will have some comments.
I'll have a few.
There's one nice thing when we get Ivan talking, you'll hear a lot. So
We can talk and send them.
good to see you. Okay, thank you.
This is for Robert Todd, who has 20 years of service in with the town of Prescott Valley. Wow. 20 years ago, Bob Todd moved up to Prescott Valley from the Phoenix area to become this community's first full-time prosecutor. A week or so prior, he had also married his sweetheart, Lourdes. Thus began Bob's new adventure of learning how to become a prosecutor after years of service at Legal Aid, and learning how to become a husband and father after years of being single. Over the years that followed, Bob and Lourdes added 2 children to their family. Michael is now a sophomore at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and Miranda is now a senior at Tri-City College Prep High School in Prescott. There was also a succession of beloved family pets until today there are 4 dogs and 4 cats. During this period, Bob moved from a small office in the old town hall on Bob Drive to 2 different offices on the 4th floor at the Civic Center. And he went from working solely with the legal department secretary to manage a caseload of primarily paper files in file cabinets to working with a legal assistant, a full-time paralegal, a part-time NACOG worker, and occasional help from the deputy town attorney to manage a caseload of primarily electronic files in computer systems. In the prosecution work, Bob and his legal town have spent countless hours working with a continuous stream of defendants, victims, witnesses, attorneys, advocates, police personnel, and court personnel to arrive at just resolutions to a wide variety of different individual problems and circumstances. These include theft, battery, trespass, domestic violence, drug violations, and various motor vehicle violations and accidents. Over time, he and his team have become extremely knowledgeable and effective. We believe we are on solid ground to say that Bob and his team are the best prosecutors of misdemeanor violations in magistrate court of any group in the state of Arizona. It should also be noted that Bob has many other desirable traits that make him an asset to the legal department. For one, he is an excellent photographer and has regularly shared his talent for taking professional pictures of race cars, airplanes, animals, people, and landscapes. For another, he is an excellent cook in his own right, with a tolerance for chili peppers and other hot spices that no one else can top. And Bob's stories about his efforts to help take care of the animals in his household would fill volumes of books and provide material for a wildly successful sitcom. Congratulations, Bob, for 20 years of service as the Prescott Valley prosecutor. We won't ask you to give it 20 more years, but we do look forward to whatever additional time you can give us before Lourdes convinces you it is time for the 2 of you to retire and start traveling the world. Again, congratulations, Bob.
Thank you, Diane. And I think Ivan has some comments.
You know, I keep trying to get Bob to come over to the good side instead of staying over there in the dark side all the time, working on in the criminal world. But Bob really enjoys what he does, and frankly, he does a great job. And I don't know what we'd do without him, to be honest. He's a great prosecutor.
I think Diane said he's the best prosecuting attorney in the state of Arizona. I believe we can honestly represent that. Mike, any comments?
I do. I am always taken back in terms of the number of years we see our employees gainfully contributing to our community, to our town especially. And I'm very jealous that after 20 years, you look so young. And I am a very mature person, but I guess everybody's looking younger these days. But we do congratulate you for your 20 years and hope that you do stay on a little longer, stay on the same side you are, because obviously you've done a great job, and we hope you'll continue one way or another. So congratulations.
Council, have any comments? Anyone? Rick?
I do. Thank you so much for your 20 years service to the town. It's very important for that continuity. It makes all of our jobs so much easier when we have dedicated employees like yourself that are willing to do their career with us at the town. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Mary?
Yes, and thank you very much. And we hope that you stay on for maybe another 20 years. But it's a family here, and we all live in the area, and we raise our kids here. So it's not just a job, but it sits in our heart, our communities. And I appreciate what you've given to our community. Thank you very much.
Marty?
Yeah, 20 years. It's a good start. Well, congratulations on serving for the 20 years. I mean, there's always good commentary when it refers to you, and we don't hear any complaints out of there, so you must be doing a really good job. I know when I come into the Civic Center, when I go into the building, I always go the back way, so I always go through the legal department as I'm heading over to our office. And anytime I've been able to engage Bob in a conversation, it's always been fun, uplifting, and he's just that kind of a person that you just want to have a nice conversation with. Plus, he does the great job. So thanks again, and continued good service. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Jody?
Bob, thank you for your service to the town. And, in any organization, you have to have people to rely on, right? And clearly you've demonstrated that. As we heard Ivan talk about what you bring to service here at the town, no one can bring that but you, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, we would like to present you with a plaque, and hopefully you'll put this in a prominent place in your home or office, depends. And it says, in appreciation to Robert Todd for 20 years of outstanding dedicated service to the town of Prescott Valley, September 1997 to September 2017. Congratulations. And we do have a check. I haven't looked to see how much this is, but it is kind of a bonus for your time and service, and we appreciate that and use it in any way you'd like. We do also have a 20-year service pin, has 3 emeralds, so we expect you to wear that every day and wear it proudly. Once again, congratulations. Yep.
Bob, congratulations. Thank you so much for your service. And it's true, you are the top prosecuting attorney in the state. Comments, Bob?
I'll keep them short, but it feels like 10 years was about 3 years ago, so time is kind of rolling along here. But town of Prescott Valley is a great place to be. There's a reason people stay as long as they do. Ivan's been here, 27 years. I've been here for 20. It's a great department. It's a great place to work, great people. I've seen the town grow quite a bit in 20 years. I've seen a lot of positive growth and a lot of positive change. Great police department. I'm just very fortunate to be here and look forward to certainly another 5. We'll see how many more. But I love working here. I love the people I work with. I enjoy working with the court, with the police, with our department, with other departments. It's a really good place. Of course, as Ivan mentioned, the dogs. My wife is home. We have a cancer dog, so she's taking care of him tonight. And my daughter's off editing her latest little films. So everybody's always busy, but it's a great place. And when I got here, I was single, and now I have a family that's pretty well grown. So Prescott Valley's been a big part of my life for a lot of years, and I appreciate how well the town treats its employees, and look forward to more service in the future. Thank you very much.
Bob, keep up the good work. We have another very special employee certificate of appreciation to Boyd Robertson for 10 years of service. Boyd, come on up. Diane, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, we do. Boyd came to the town to the position of Assistant Public Works Director and brought with him an extensive background in design and construction of public works infrastructure. Having the experience of many years as a CAD designer for engineering plans for subdivisions and commercial site plans, the transition to ensuring quality plan review, approval, and construction in Prescott Valley was a natural for him. Boyd's best talent is establishing and maintaining effective working partnerships with both the staff in the Community Development Department and also the development community. The very successful commercial development and subdivision housing growth the last 10 years is testament to Boyd's involvement in the quality building process in Prescott Valley. Outside of work, Boyd and his wife Judy enjoy traveling abroad together. A little-known fact is they are quite the wine connoisseurs, and he owned a wine bar together for many years in the past. He's kept that a well secret. It is a pleasure having Boyd as part of the Public Works team. Boyd's calm demeanor and ability to always work things out to common success is always complimented by the customers and the residents he works with. Congratulations, Boyd, on your 10 years of service with the town of Prescott Valley.
Norm, did you have any comments?
I do have one thing we didn't write. As you can see, what I've gotten used to working with Boyd all the years was sometimes we go out in the field and people will say, well, I don't remember who I talked to in Public Works. Well, I've kind of gotten used to when people say, well, I ask him, was it the big guy or the little guy? You can see Boyd's quite a bit taller. So that's how I always tell us apart. But Boyd does a great job. One thing that we do combat his particularly freakish stature here of being so tall. Kind of become commonplace in public, so I always have a little fun with the truck, because every time I get in the truck, I can't reach the pedals. So whenever I get out, we push the seat all the way up, so we always have that little that combat. But no, it's wonderful having Boyd here, and he does quite a great job, as I say. He's a nice compliment to what we have in Public Works for his calm demeanor. And like I say, when we write that, he always finds the common success on how he works things out. That's very, very much true in Boyd's case. Wonderful having you in Public Works, Boyd. Congratulations.
Mike?
Well, I do see we have something in common in Public Works, and that's that gray hair, I guess, So I'd like to see that, but we appreciate you, Boyd, for your 10 years of service, and we do expect you to be here much longer. We've already heard that there's some sort of plans that you've signed off for at least 20 more years, so we'll look forward to that. But we appreciate your time, effort, your expertise, your professionalism, and your contribution to our town and the Prescott Valley, so congratulations. So we would like to commemorate today with an appreciation award plaque from the town of Prescott Valley presented to Boyd. An appreciation for 10 years of dedicated service, July 2007 through July 2017. So display that proudly in your office or at home. And then we also do have, and I haven't taken this one apart, but we already know what it looks like. It's an emerald. It's one emerald, and it's a beautiful pin, Prescott Valley pin, and we expect to wear that every day and wear it proudly and let everybody know that this is what you earned for being a 10-year employee, and we're very appreciative of you being here. Thank you.
Boyd, your comments? Larry, did you have a comment?
We can't speak.
You can't speak. You're up, Boyd.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say, in regards to Norm's comment, I have to put the seat back before I get in, and then when I get in, I have a nice view of the back seat of the truck in the rearview mirror. But it's been a pleasure working here for the last 10 years, and I can't just talk louder. It's been a pleasure working here for the last 10 years. I've really enjoyed it. Great group of people to work with through the Public Works Department, Utilities Department, ComDev Department. I see Richard hiding back there a little bit. And as well as management staff and all of the other departments that I work with trying to complete all of these new developments going on, whether they're residential or commercial. And we do strive to create a good working relationship with those developers so we get a good project in the end and they can get their doors open and start making a profit off of their businesses.
Thank you, Boyd. Congratulations. Norm, stay up here for a picture. Boyd, you'll have to move over a little so you can get a picture. Mike, get in there.
I'm going to photobomb this one.
Good job there, Chris. Appreciate it. Boyd, congratulations. Another 10 years. Okay, we have one more very special employee. Certificate of Appreciation to Casey Van Haren. 2 years of service. I'm sorry, 5 years of service. And I think Stuart will want to make some comments. I don't know if we should allow that or not. Diane, you want to make some comments?
Casey began working at the Prescott Valley Public Library Circulation Supervisor in 2012. When Casey arrived, there was a statement made that she brought a breath of fresh air. Incorrect, it was a gale force wind. Casey loves to make changes. So I changed my hair. I didn't write this. This man right up here, Stuart Madsen, wrote this. I didn't change my hair. On a serious note, Casey is indeed a change leader and is constantly enthused on how to improve the library's offerings and services. With funding support from donations and multiple grants, which she wrote herself, she spearheaded many positive changes to the Prescott Valley Public Library. Some worth mentioning are refitting of the Glassford Hill meeting room with technology, which includes a 3D printer, a first in our community, in tandem with business workshop offerings, technology upgrades for the digital media lab. In addition, she worked on getting the library fitted with debit card machines and introduced an innovative campaign called Food for Fines. This has been an annual campaign as it has become a successful way of supporting the Yavapai Food Bank. Last year, the library forgave $939 in fines and collected 1,100 pounds of food in exchange.
That's awesome.
Casey is respected throughout the Yavapai Library Network and has been asked to serve on several committees. Finally, Casey has a roll-up-your-sleeves attitude, especially during crunch time or unexpected emergencies. She has not hesitated making repairs on the automated materials handling machine in times past, saving the library not only money, but preventing loss of productivity. Congratulations, Casey, on your 5 years of service. You have reached an important milestone at the Town of Prescott Valley Public Library. Thank you for your dedication and your commitment to making the library's vision, mission, and values a reality for all of our community. Oh, I almost forgot Casey. Casey likes to pop out boxes.
Oh, yes.
I think that needs an explanation.
Thank you, Diane. And I know we have a gentleman of very few words who would like to make some comments. Stuart?
I thought you were looking at her husband. I didn't know he had few words either. Well, it has been a gale. Sometimes I like to have a shield in front of me to help the gale force wind. But Casey's brought a lot of positivity. She has a really good team feeling in her division. She's in charge of cataloging also and the circulation department. And so she's valued by her team, and so we really appreciate her. Thank you.
Councilman?
Well, this is a milestone. I think 5 years, you're just beginning. And I know it's a corporate culture in the library that they have these gale force winds, typhoons and other things, but that's the way they operate. And obviously, we're very proud of the library, and we're very proud of your involvement, because it wouldn't be the library without your touch in your 5 years. So congratulations. So we'd like to commemorate tonight by a certificate of appreciation presented to Casey Van Haren. An appreciation for 5 years of dedicated service to the town of Prescott Valley from August 6, 2012 through August 6, 2017. And we do have another memento, and it's a very pretty pin, Town of Prescott Valley, so we expect you to wear that proudly. Thank you. Now, a few
words from you, Casey.
Wow, it's been an amazing 5 years. It's gone by very quick, and I have to thank Stuart so much for all the autonomy that he has given me to do all the things I need to do. So without his support and the wonderful people that I work with, I don't think I would have been able to accomplish half the things I have. So thank you to Stuart and everyone I work with. They're amazing people. I can't say that enough, and they've really helped put this library on the map. So thank you.
Casey, thank you and congratulations. Mike is going to pose next to you for a picture.
Oh, Mike.
I'll get him.
Where are you going, Diane? Don't fall off.
You don't know how much I want to do that.
If you folks got the impression that she's a very pleasant lady, she definitely is. We're proud to have her as on our staff. Okay, our next item is comments or communication. Anyone from the council? Mary?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the community, the town of Prescott Valley, Darlene Packer, who chairs the Prescott Valley Healing Field, for such a tremendous year, and all the work that was put into it, all the visitors that we had. And it was an exciting year because we had over 300 children from all different schools come and visit the field and walk among it. So it was just an amazing week, and once again, that field came together because we all came together and brought it here. So it's just a great event, and I thank all of you so much for all that you do every year.
Thank you, Mary. Any other comments, anyone? If not, we'll move on then to...
Mayor, I do have...
Oh,
I want to introduce the new children's librarian for just a
Great.
moment.
Okay.
This is Lynette Christensen. What has it been, 3 weeks? 4. So I'll let her just say a little bit about her so you know who she is.
Hi, most people my age are retiring, but I'm so glad to be here in Prescott Valley. It's a beautiful town. The people have been amazingly friendly, and I just think I can't wait to start handling programs and working with your children. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Good to see you. Okay, we'll move on then. If there's no other comments, move on to number 9, consent agenda. Councilmember Mallory will read that.
All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the Town Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately for discussion and possible action. Item A, authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 2018, adopting the 2 Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records retention schedules, purchasing and procurement, and health and medical. Item B, accept the warranty deed for a lot donation from Lot 460 LLC, Craig Marshall, manager, thereby accepting this property for the town of Prescott Valley. Item C, department reports. Item D, accounts payable. Item E, monthly financial reports. Item F, council investment reports. Item G, ratifying the approval of the USDA grant agreement in the amount of $194,069. Item H, approving the professional service agreement with TSS Consultants in the amount not to exceed $125,000, and that is woody biomass. Item I, awarding the Mountain Valley Park concessionaire contract to Paul Pounds, DBA Penny's Place. And item J, approving a budget transfer from the contingency funds in the amount of $5,812 to the Police Administration Operating Legal Services line item. Does anyone want to pull an item, or can I get a motion?
Motion, anyone? Or
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
second, anyone?
I'll second, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
I approve. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of them came up, Diane.
Mayor Skook, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
I have a yes vote from Councilmember Anderson, a yes from Councilmember Grossman, Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
and Councilmember Rooney is yes.
Yes, thank you.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on then to old business. A is second reading of ordinance number 835, approving a zoning map change number 14006, parcel B of the Prescott Country Club. Any comments, questions, motions? I think not at this point. At the end of the meeting, we'll have public comments. At the end of the meeting, yeah. Mike, did you have a comment?
I do, and I think we're ready to hear the second reading, unless one of the other members of the council have a comment. No.
Okay, with that, I would ask Diane to read the ordinance by title only for the second reading.
Ordinance number 835, an ordinance of the Mayor and the Common Council of the Town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending the town's zoning map ZMC 14-006 by changing the zoning classification of an approximately 4.18 acre portion of the Prescott Country Club, generally referred to as Parcel B or the Triangle area, from R1L PAD, Residential Single Family Limited Planned Area Development Zoning, to R2-PAD, Residential Multiple Dwelling Units Planned Area Development Zoning, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. With that, I would ask, shall the ordinance pass? You want to set the vote, Diane?
One moment, please, Mayor.
Here you go.
Well, apparently everybody can vote electronically now.
Voted,
Congratulations. Mayor, that is a unanimous approval
Thank you, Diane.
for passage.
Okay, we'll move on to number 10B. Second reading of ordinance number 836, approving zoning map change 17002, Winsong Living Center. And again, I would ask you to read ordinance number 835 by title only for the second reading. Diane?
Ordinance number 836. An ordinance of the Mayor and the Common Council of the Town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending town zoning map ZMC 17-002 to change the zoning classification of an approximately 4.78 acre parcel located on the west side of Winsong Drive, approximately 900 feet south of Lakeshore Drive, from C1 PAD, Commercial Neighborhood Sales and Services Planned Area Development Zoning, 2, RS PAD, residential and services planned area development zoning, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. With that, shall this ordinance pass? Would you set the vote, Diane?
Yes, Mayor, one moment. That is unanimously passed, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. We'll move on to number 11. A is consideration of reappointing Cal Nye to the Building Board of Appeals. Rick, you have any comments?
I do. And Mayor, I'd like to make a comment just before we begin number 11. I'd like to take a moment to thank Councilmember Mallory for her presence on this committee for the last couple of years. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I thank you for your service to the town on that committee. And then I wanted to also announce that Councilmember Grossman will be taking her place on that committee, so thank you again for your service, and we look forward to Marty being on this committee. So, with that, I'll begin on number 11. On September 5th, 2017, Cal Nye's term on the Building Board of Appeals will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Cal Nye was first appointed to a partial term on this board on January 11th, 2007, and this reappointment will be his 7th consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Cal Nye for a term with the renewal date of September 5th, 2019. Mary.
Mary, you have any comments?
No, Mayor, I would just like to...
Mr. Knight here? He's not.
Is he here?
No.
Yeah, no. I would just like to make a motion for to reappoint Cal Nye to the Building Board of Appeals and to appreciate his service.
Second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a second on the motion.
We have the motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
That unanimously passed, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we'll move on to 10B. 11B, I'm sorry. Consideration of reappointing Jim Pape to the Building Board of Appeals. Rick, any comments?
I do. On September 5th, 2017, Jim Pape's term on the Building Board of Appeals will come due for renewal, or came due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Jim Pape was first appointed to a partial term on this board on October 9th, 2009, and this reappointment will be his 5th consecutive term. Myself, Council members Laura Lee Nye and Mary Mallory are recommending the reappointment of Jim Pape for a term with a renewal date of September 5, 2019. Mary?
Mary, any comments?
No, once again, as the town, we always appreciate the service of all the community when they come in and do this. We always work together with them, and we absolutely need and appreciate their input. So at that, I'd like to make a motion for Jim Pape to be reappointed for the Building Board of Appeals.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
We have the motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. We'll go on to C, consideration of reappointing Richard Lighthead to the Board of Building Appeals. Rick?
Yes. On September 5th, 2017, Richard Lighthead's term on the Building Board of Appeals came due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Richard Lighthead was first appointed to a partial term on this board December 3rd, 2015, and this reappointment will be his 2nd consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Richard Lighthead for a term with the renewal date of September 5, 2019.
Any comments, Mary?
No, just that, like everyone else, these people are very committed into the community, and it's wonderful to have such people that are involved in their community.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Richard Lighthead to the Building Board of Appeals.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you set the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Rooney? Thank you. That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we'll move on then to number D, public hearing, revised town water rates, fees, and service charges. Bill, Mark? This public hearing, people can comment.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Here we are again at the public hearing for the proposed water rate increase. This is a topic that we have presented to you twice already. I do have a presentation ready to go if needed, but I do want to ask if you would like me to go through with it. I will be more than happy to present it again. Or if you would like to forego what you've already heard multiple times, we can open it to the public, answer any questions or comments that you or the public might have.
I think we've studied. Council, want to have any questions or comments, further study? If not...
Mayor, I think I'd like to just hear if the public has any comments.
Okay, public, anyone from the public care to comment on that? Okay, we'll take him. Come on up. No, we have to use a microphone. I'm sorry. She's first. Yeah, we can't. It doesn't go over the TV station if you try to talk from your seat. You want to pull the mic down a little bit?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, nice to see you. Happy to be here tonight. As Principal Miner said, he was the very proud principal of Bradshaw High School. I'm the very proud executive director of Yavapai County Contractors Association. I loved his line, and I'm going to use it from now on. I'm here to just say a few things about your water rate possible increase. But first of all, thank you immensely to Mark and Bill, you guys, for putting up with my conversations today. You're geniuses. It was fabulous. I think Bill wanted to pass me off to Larry or Richard, but it didn't work. So thanks, guys. You were fabulous. I get the water rate increase. I understand it, but I do have some concerns. Of course, with any increase that you have to do, especially with your water rates, because your budget is gigantic, it's all based on assumptions. And assumptions are a moving target. They can go up or they can go down. I know that, as the guys explained to me, it's weather driven, because if we're not using water, you're not getting revenue. And we had a very wet winter, so your weather driven money resources didn't come in. I get it. And you need to look at your operating expenses. Last year, we didn't have any increase in water rates. The year before, you had a 2% increase. So you've gone 2, 0, and now you want to go up to over 4. I'm a little concerned about that. I think that we need to be more conservative as a town, and I'm really concerned that some of the capital expenditures, there's capital improvement projects in those dollars. It's not suicidal, but they're in there. And I'm just asking that tonight we don't take a vote on this increase and let's step back a month. Let's relook at some of these assumptions and see if we can't do anything to get this difference down to maybe 3.5%, 3% increase. Why over 4? Plus, you're going to be losing your debt service in 3 years. You will not have any more debt service. Shamrock will have been paid off. Now, are we going to be giving back refunds to our water users? I don't know. So I don't want you to collect so much money that we might possibly have to give back refunds. The town of Prescott Valley is probably the fastest growing town in Yavapai County, or for that matter, even the state of Arizona. We're doing things great, and kudos to you for the growth. It's controlled, it's good growth. You have a lot of rooftops coming in. You're going to have a lot of water users. So I'm not against an increase. I'm against a conservative increase, and I would just like us to go back, huddle again with your great team, and maybe we can move some of those assumptions around, look at some of the operating expenses, and come up with a more palatable increase for a lot of your users.
Thank you,
So
Sandy.
thank you for letting me share.
Good comments. We appreciate it. And who was the other gentleman? You had some comments? She said what you wanted to be. Anyone else care to come up and comment? Sandy always does a good job. She's very careful in her explanations. Any other comments? Mark? Rick? Richard? Bill? If there is no other comments, then I would declare the public hearing closed, and we'll go on to number 10E. And this says again, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 2019, revising domestic water rates, fees, and service charges. Are there any more comments, questions, motions, demotions, commotions, promotions, anyone? You got one, Rick? Oh.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign Resolution 2019 revising domestic water rates, fees, and service charges as earlier recommended.
Second, anyone?
I'll second, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
That's unanimously passed, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on to number F, consideration of approving resolution number 2020, adopting a development agreement with the Gratitude Foundation Incorporated, which is Stepping Stones, for an annual payment to allow counting of designated parking space in PCFD number 1 towards off-street parking requirements. Where's Richard?
Thank you,
got some
Mr. Mayor.
comments?
Members of the council, I'm really excited to be here again today, recognizing the good work of our legal department, as well as a staff member in my group, Fernando Gonzalez, but most of all recognizing Robin Burke with Stepping Stones for doing the right thing and stepping up and paying their fair share of the CFD costs for the Prescott Valley Parkway Community Facilities District. They benefit from the use of the parking, and because of that, when asked, they said, sure, we'd be happy to participate, and wrote the town a check. Of course, Bill wouldn't put the check in the bank because there was no such a development agreement in place, so we endeavored to put that development agreement in front of Robin Burke and their group. They signed it. It's on your agenda this evening. This will enable yet another nonprofit to benefit from the parking, as well as contribute their fair share to the maintenance as well as cost of indebtedness for the CFD. Again, I'm very pleased. I wanted to recognize Ivan as well as recognize Fernando Gonzalez, but most of all, again, Robin Burke with Stepping Stones to really step up. With that, I'd conclude and respond to any questions you may have.
Questions, anyone? Mike or Rick?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Stepping Stones has always been a good community partner as long as they've been in Prescott Valley, and they continue to show that they are, in fact, a community partner. And I just wanted to congratulate them for that and for that continued service that they do provide to the community, and recommend their services to anyone that has a need for them. And please utilize their service because they are part of this town. So thank you.
Other comments? Mike?
Yeah, I just want to echo those sentiments as well. I think there's a long-standing history of Stepping Stones in our community, and they've always been supportive of our town and what we do. And I do remember when I had an office in one of their previous office spaces that the mayor was always visiting because there's things that were going on relative to the different activities Stepping Stones was involved with, and obviously they have a big impact on our community and provide a resource that otherwise we would be hard pressed to find otherwise. So we appreciate their willingness to cooperate and to consider the opportunity to contribute to, I think, some of the resources we made available in terms of parking and other things in that area. So we do appreciate Stepping Stones.
Jody?
Again, it is that, a good community partner and a model for other partners to be able to look toward. I agree. Rick, thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you. Mary?
Well, I know that when I'm out and about in the town, I'm always hearing about the good things that Stepping Stones does. And the involvement they have in the community is really endless. So they set a good model that I would hope others would take the opportunity to follow.
Marty?
Yeah, earlier this evening we gave an award and we recognized Missy Socorro and the Yavapai Family Advocacy Center. Well, Stepping Stones is part of that community too regarding domestic violence, and so Stepping Stones steps up and they really do their share. Also within the community, they have meeting rooms within the coffee shop that they have over there, and it's available for anybody to use while they're open, and it's very reasonable prices. So again, in addition to the other things that they do, they also provide a great place to have meetings. And I know I have a lot of meetings in the coffee shop there, so it's always convenient and fun, and it helps the community. So they're just a tremendous asset to our community and Yavapai County also.
Rick?
Well, I just wanted to also make sure that everybody understands that the dollars that they're agreeing to with this are dollars that are being not used out of our general fund. They would otherwise be spent out of our general fund, that we now no longer have to do that because of their generosity and their willingness to put that money into this account. So that's very important, and it affects every single member of the community because now those dollars can be used towards something else. So I think everyone needs to understand that they're being helped by this agency's willingness to participate in this. So.
Mike, another comment?
Nope, I'd be willing, if there's no other comments, to make a motion.
Okay, I think we can do that.
Motion to authorize the mayor, for in his absence the vice mayor, to sign Resolution 2020 adopting a development agreement with the Gratitude Foundation Incorporated for an annual payment to allow counting of designated parking spaces in the PCFD number 1 towards off-street parking requirements.
I'll second.
We have the motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Now we'll go on to 11G. That's consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 2021 approving PDB 17009 Granville Model Homes and to sign any agreement under Proposition 207. Richard?
As you've noticed, Granville is building a lot in our community, and part of the hallmark of their sales is a sales office facility as well as model homes. They're moving from their current model home location, which is in the old part of Granville, into the new section, which comprises 480 lots. These are under construction or intended to be used as model homes. You can see on the illustration, they also use one of the lots for off-street parking, which meets our town standards. Because it meets our town standards and we really like what Granville's doing, staff recommends approval of this action.
Questions, comments, anyone? Anything else, Richard?
No, sir.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to authorize the mayor, in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 2021 approving FDP 17-001 and to sign any agreement under Proposition 207.
Mayor, I'll second that.
We have the motion and a second. Diane, would you set the vote?
That's unanimously approved, Mayor.
Thank you. Richard, good job. Okay, we move on to number H. Consideration of authorizing mayor to sign resolution number 2022 approving PDP 17011 Winsong Senior Living Center and to sign any agreement on a Proposition 207. Richard?
Thank you, Mayor. If you recall at the last meeting, we gave Jeff, the CEO of this company, an award for his patience and tolerance. Given your most recent action on the second reading for the entitlement, now comes the time for you to review a final development plan for this project. It's approximately 5 acres in size, is south of, is along Winsong and very near the Samaritan Village. The property is proposed to be developed with a assisted living facility, 92 living units and a total of 108 beds. Larry, as we discussed at the last meeting, is really excited for this to come to town so that he can walk from that facility to his imaginary job as the town manager with the town of Prescott Valley. This is the illustration of the final development plan. This has gone through a rigorous review by the town staff and other agencies such as the police department and the fire marshal. It meets or exceeds all town standards, and with that, staff would recommend approval. Jeff is in the audience. I don't know if he has any remarks that he'd like to make, but I would make that opening for him. Mayor, I would respond to any questions that you or the council may have.
Jeff, you want to make some comments? And Larry, you want to make some comments too?
I was just going to ask when the tractors will be out there moving dirt.
Jeff, you're up.
We brought business cards this time. It's a little quieter. But we'll break ground, bond closing right after Halloween or right before Halloween, so likely the first week of November. And we appreciate all the kind service from the town, so thank you. We're excited
Good,
to be
thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, motions? Jody?
If there are no other comments, I'd like to make a motion, Mayor.
Okay. We're ready.
Motion to authorize the mayor or in his absence the vice mayor to sign resolution number 2022 approving FDP 17-011 and to sign any agreement under Prop 207.
And I'll second that, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on to I. Consideration of approving the award of construction contract to the lowest responsive bidder, Regional Pavement Maintenance of Arizona Incorporated, in an amount up to $400,788.67, and to approve an amendment to the town engineer agreement with Deva and Associates in an amount of $36,040, Spouse Drive Pavement Overlay Project. Norm?
Good evening, Mayor Council. We did talk about this in quite detail at last week's work study. Just a couple highlights. This is the Spouse Overlay Project that is funded through the half-cent sales tax that Council put in place in January 16. Basically, it's enhancing our street maintenance to a better service level standard. So an overlay is one of the particular maintenance treatments we can do to streets. So with Spouse Drive being one of our more significant arterial roadways, this particular overlay adds quite a bit more structure, different from the chip seals we do in the summertime. I think we talked at last week's meeting. In fact, one particular section, we're actually doing a complete removal and replacement, a very degraded section of pavement that we're going to rebuild the base and add more pavement structure in between Lone Cactus and Glasser Hill Road. So as you can see, the project limit's about 4,000 square feet, and project limits on Spouse do include from Glasser Hill Road to Agua Fria. The other thing that I joined last week, it's always important, is we have these public notices ready. Upon your approval this evening, we'll have a pre-construction meeting next week and get these public notices out to canvass quite a few of the residents in the area so they're well aware of the project and what some of the delays they can expect. This particular project we anticipate will be done by Thanksgiving and get started in the next week or two. So an overlay project does go pretty fast, and a remove and replacement will take a little longer, but fully anticipate by Thanksgiving that all the improvements will be complete. Did want to point out to council, we did have a great competition, 5 contractors bidding on this particular project, so good competition, good contractor on board to do the work, and as you saw in your council action that we also award construction period service to Dave and Associates to make sure that they monitor the construction, we get that quality product in the end for the construction. So well within budget with the overlay budget we have for this current fiscal year. So we're looking forward to getting started in this project with your approval tonight. Be happy to answer any questions. That's the highlights of the project.
Questions? Rick? Marty? Okay, unless Mike has a motion, I think we're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the award of a construction contract to the lowest responsive bidder, Regional Pavement Maintenance of Arizona Incorporated, in an amount up to $400,788.67, and approve an amendment to the town engineer agreement with Deva and Associates in an amount of $36,040 by electronic vote.
Mike, second. Or Jody?
I'd like to second that.
Okay, with a motion and a second, we just hit the vote.
That's approved unanimously, Mayor.
Appreciate that. Norm?
Thank you, Mayor.
Done.
We'll get started.
Good. Okay, we move on to number J, consideration of approving the purchase of Lakeside Raptor fine screen from Lakeside Corporation for an amount equal to $99,200 wastewater treatment. Neil, anything to add to it? We've
Good
studied
evening,
this
Mayor
one
Council.
pretty extensively.
We did study it a lot last week. I did bring my wonderful pictures back if you want to see those again at the wastewater treatment plant. No? You sure?
Yeah.
All right. No, so basically we're buying a new influence screen for the wastewater treatment plant. We're replacing one that's about 23 years old. Cost close to $100,000, and we'd like to buy a new one. So I think with that, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion. Neil?
Motion to approve the purchase of the new Lakeside Raptor fine screen from Lakeside Corporation for the amount not to exceed $99,200.
How could I not second the motion, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will you set the vote?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Neil, good job. Get her done.
And Neil, I just want to say, I always appreciate your, screenshots and everything. It's just one time's enough. Thank you.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, we move on to K, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 2012, adopting as a public record the proposed amendments to Article 10-05 alarm systems. Chief Edelstein, here up.
Good evening, Mayor. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I come before you for actually the third time in front of Council, and in addition to that, we've had a public open house that we held regarding this issue, which is alarm response. And so it is my intention tonight to provide the complete presentation again for the benefit of our viewing audience and the Council, with your consent. And I guess I would start off by saying that we've spent a few months now talking about this issue very publicly. We've spoken before this body. We have held an open house, which we publicized, and there was a lot of comment made at that open house, mostly by the alarm industry itself. So I would summarize, I guess, my impression of feedback that we've received over the last few months as overwhelmingly in support of this movement from the public that we have spoken to, but as you might expect, the alarm industry has opposed these measures. So again, to proceed through this presentation as quickly as possible, alarm response is our number 2 call for service right now. Last year we responded to about 662 alarms, and of those alarms, 6 were actual criminal events. And so in essence, our officers spent the equivalent of one full-time police officer's time responding to what is 99.2% of the time false. And in the case of those 6 actual alarms where they did discover criminal activity, they didn't get there fast enough to catch anyone in the act. And after considering the model that the alarm industry has put into place in how they dispatch police to burglar alarms, it's pretty apparent why that occurs. When a burglar alarm is tripped, they make usually at least 2 phone calls to the alarm owner. And so the alarm owner might not answer the first call, somebody else might answer the second. And then a decision is made by the alarm owner or whomever the alarm industry is talking to at that moment, whether or not to respond to police. And so they have already delayed our response to what could be a criminal event by several minutes. Now, just to define the specific nature of alarms, it's a mechanical device that's installed in homes. Generally, it involves both a combination of motion sensors and entry trips that are contacts on windows and doors and locations like that. Once that motion sensor or entry trip is set off for whatever reason, a alert goes to a monitoring station. Now, those monitoring stations can be across the country or at times in different countries. Those monitoring stations then make those phone calls, and then in the case of the alarm owner indicating that they want a police response, the monitoring station calls our dispatch center and sends our officers out to the location. Again, the truth, unfortunately, is that 99.2% of those calls to the police department are false. And they are false for a number of reasons, including, in my experience as the alarm administrator for the last several years, owner error and equipment malfunction. So let me back up because I actually misstated the number of alarms. We had 772, and of those 6 were actual criminal offenses. So as we grow, as we are obviously doing, there's been a lot of conversation tonight about growth coming to the town of Prescott Valley. We expect to add somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 1,500 residents per year. You see in front of you the amount of crime that we are already dealing with, and to perpetuate the current model of response to alarms continuing to respond to a call that's 99.2% of the time false is, I think, an irresponsible continued use of our public taxpayers' monies, especially in the context of a growing community. Some of the alarm industry's responses have included an assertion that verified response is unique, that there are not a lot of agencies that are doing it. What our research has shown is just the opposite, that there are agencies who have either adopted a complete verified response model or a model that includes elements thereof. One of the other things that the alarm industry has asked us to do is to implement their model alarm reduction policy. Well, we did that in 2013. There were a couple of elements that we very intentionally chose and the council endorsed not putting in place. But the claims that the alarm industry made, for example, that there would be a 50% reduction in alarms over the course of 2 years, they did not materialize. In fact, we had a 34% reduction. What we have discovered is that the alarm industry has asked us to create what is in effect a secondary industry to help them to perpetuate their current business model. And in addition to the fact that it has not resulted in a 50% reduction in alarms, we've also seen that the ratio of false alarms to actual alarms hasn't changed. So if you go back to about 2010, we had about 1,300 false alarms that year, or 1,300 alarms that year, and the ratio was the same. 99+% of those alarms were also false. Some of the other issues that the alarm industry wants us to try include escalating and meaningful fines for chronic abusers. And the difficulty that we have in recommending that as a means to solve this issue are, number one, we understand it's not going to reduce the alarms. But in addition, many times the alarm industry has issues with the alarms, but they don't want to take responsibility for it. They want us to continually escalate the fines against the alarm owners and instead of taking responsibility for the alarms that they have installed in these homes. So even if we did implement the measures that the alarm industry wanted us to, and they had the effect that the alarm industry, say they should, we would still be going out to about 400 calls a year. And those would still be 99.2% of the time false. And so that solution just does not seem to staff to be an effective solution. In addition to that, what that model perpetuates is the continued delay in the response of police to what if the alarm industry were to institute better technology and better practices would be criminal events. It is our position that if the alarm industry chooses to embrace better technology, that we can get to these locations more quickly when there's actually a criminal event in place. Other jurisdictions that have implemented a verified response policy put that response right at the top of the priority list, up there with a burglary in progress where it belongs. Currently, a burglar alarm is way down at the bottom of the list because, again, it's false 99% of the time. The future of the alarm industry is clear. They have made the statement that they intend by 2020 to have 33% or more of businesses and homes alarmed. And you see it in the construction industry. Homes are being pre-wired for alarm systems, so all the alarm industry has to do is come in and plug it in, and now they have a functioning burglar alarm. So we are going to see the number of alarms and the ratio of homes and businesses with alarms to those without alarms increase. So this problem is not only going to increase if we don't do anything about it, but it is also going to increase because the sheer number of alarmed businesses and homes in Prescott Valley is going to go up. What we would prefer is a model that doesn't waste our officers' time and the resources that we are given by the taxpayers in Prescott Valley. Instead of our officers responding to essentially a third of the community for what is false 99% of the time, we would rather take those officers and put them in places where we know they are going to have an effect on crime. So the solution, again, is verified response. A simple definition is it is an alarm that is combined with either a first-person witness who says, yeah, there's an alarm going off and I see, hear, or otherwise can tell you that something is going on there, or video or audio equipment in the home or business that can be used either by themselves or in combination to, again, indicate that there's actually a criminal act in progress. From there, the process would be very similar, with the exception of newer technology that I'll speak to towards the end of the presentation. One of the other comments that the alarm industry continually makes is, well, what if I'm sitting home alone in bed and somebody breaks in through the door and you don't come to my alarm? Well, there are a lot of pieces of technology available in the alarm industry that would prevent a problem there, including a key fob, which would be a panic alarm, which would be a response by the police department. So the alarm industry doesn't like these suggestions, and the reason is that they make the bulk of their money by the monthly charges that they give to their customers. Those are the charges that are used to essentially maintain the monitoring service, and they realize that if we stop responding to those calls now, they have to fill that void, and they're going to have to fill it either through the use of a private response, which is an option, or through increased and more efficient technology that will, again, allow the alarm industry or the alarm users themselves to peer into those homes virtually and find out if there's actually a criminal act in progress. We will, under this model, continue to respond to hold-up and robbery alarms, such as at our local banks, panic alarms like the key fob type alarm that you can get with your alarm system, and personal medical alerts. In addition to that, if there is an audible alarm in town, we will respond to those as well. This lists some of the claims that the alarm industry has made, and what I have yet to find is empirical data that backs up many of those statements. So just to review them real quickly, alarms are not an effective line of defense. They're not something that we recommend, knowing that they are false 99% of the time. We don't tell people to install an alarm system. Number two, they save property and protect the safety, jobs, and possessions of thousands of citizens. Again, if they're false 99.2% of the time, how can that be true? Number three, it's unpopular and dangerous. That's just simply meant to elicit an emotional response from our community. There is no proof that a verified response model is more dangerous than the current model that we have in place. Number four, the fact is that we have never said and wouldn't advocate that citizens go and check their own alarms. They do, I will tell you that, and that was made clear during the public forum that we had here. They are already doing that, but we don't advocate that. Again, what we advocate for is an increase in efficiency for the technology in the homes and businesses, as well as a private response. So they say that the verified response model punishes the entire community. In fact, it only punishes at the most 30% of the community, and in reality only a portion of those, because there are many people who have burglar alarms who have not ever requested that the police department respond. Some additional statements from the industry. You have the right for the police to come out for a criminal event, absolutely, in number one, but you don't have the right to the services of the police, who are paid by the whole community to service a portion of the community, especially when 99.2% of the time those calls are false. Verified response affects the economy because potential businesses don't like it. I haven't heard a single business owner complain since we started talking about this in Prescott Valley. It has not happened, with the exception of those who own or manage alarm businesses. Number 3, business owners said, I'd rather have the police here first dealing with it. If they come first, it would make anyone feel safer. Again, we don't want citizens running around checking their own alarms. I think that the alarm industry can manage that issue. And second, we're dealing with something that's 99.2% of the time false. The Arizona Alarm Association stated in one of their publications that best practices and policies should be considered when developing alarm management. We've tried what they recommended. It didn't work. We've had an ordinance in place for almost 5 years now, and it has not done what the alarm industry says that it should do. They additionally claim that a strong ordinance will narrow down abusers. We've talked extensively already about the fallacy of strong ordinances. And number 6, the alarm industry has stated the last thing you want if a crime is happening is a delayed police response. Again, they are building in a delay in police response with the current model that they have, because they have to make two phone calls just to see if something's actually happening in the home when they could be looking or listening into that home at that moment with current technology. Of interest, of course, is public opinion. As I've stated, I've talked to a lot of people. I haven't heard much opposition to verified response, but the Daily Courier a couple months ago put out this survey, and it showed that 73% of the public support our position. Liability has been mentioned as a concern, and in law enforcement, liability is not established until we create a relationship with someone. So if we don't respond to an alarm, there is no relationship created. And I would suggest here that the liability lies with the alarm companies, who are creating an expectation for their clients that the police are going to be there immediately. And in fact, we're not, because of the business model that they've created. They certainly have a relationship with their clients. Excuse me, I got a little behind there. So the true liability, in doing some research, because we did look to see what impact verified response has had in other communities, is officers are killed responding to burglar alarms. And that happens at least a couple times in the last decade, where officers who were responding to burglar alarms that were false were killed in traffic accidents going to them. So what can members of our community expect from verified response? Alarm users will receive the response that they deserve when their alarm goes off, because their monitoring companies are going to have to use video or audio to look and listen into the homes or businesses, and they might even receive a response from a private response party. Our community will recover the equivalent of a police officer, whom we can take and deploy as we see fit into higher crime areas than these locations where the burglar alarms are going off. And the alarm industry is going to get the opportunity to, I think, elevate their game a little bit, and to help their clients who do wish to continue to be their clients, to elevate the level of technology that they're using in their homes and businesses. So in closing, what I think I would summarize the challenge as is that a business model sometimes needs a little push to get past the point where it's at. And the alarm industry needs, I think, our help in responsibly managing, again, our taxpayers' monies. And instead of using their funds to provide the response to what is essentially a private contract between alarm owner and alarm business, I think those alarm businesses will have a much better business model if they choose to adopt current technology or consider that with a combination of private response. The second photo at the bottom of the screen is a system, I think it's 7 cameras, maybe 8, that you can buy at Sam's Club for about $400 or $500. One of our fellow members in the water department, I think, has one of these. And that system comes with the triggers, so the alarms that you install on your home, the motion sensors and those kinds of things. And it includes a large hard drive. And so motion sets off the cameras, a trip of an alarm will set off the cameras, and then it'll start recording. And then whoever sets up that system installs an application that corresponds to the equipment, And when the alarm goes off, an alert is sent to the phone, and the alarm owner, probably the business or homeowner in this case, gets to look right at their phone, or if they're at their desktop at the office or wherever, they can look there and see, in fact, what's going on in their home. That model is equally easily adopted by the alarm industry. And so our hope is that we'll be able to provide a better response to our community, and that the council will consider adopting the ordinance as it's been presented.
Questions, anyone? Comments? Go ahead. If you'll repeat his question.
So the question is, what is this going to cost us retired people a month? So I understand that, sir, and there is a conversation to be had there between you and your alarm provider. I don't know what that would cost.
Any other questions? Mike, Marty?
I don't have a question. I just want to comment on this. I have been totally impressed by the amount of research that our police department has done into this matter. They could have very easily said, we have 99% false alarms. There's something we need to do about it, and this is what we're going to do. But they did the research to back up, okay, and they confronted the alarm industry. What bothered me about the alarm industry is the fact that they sent out letters and information to people who have alarm systems and basically gave them a lot of false information and bad information just to get them upset with us for even proposing this, okay, which would ultimately reflect on our police department. Now, just to let everybody know, we had some meetings with the alarm industry as council members. We couldn't have all of us in there because that would violate another law, but we had them set up so there were multiple meetings. And one of the questions that was asked was, for anybody that has an alarm system that's more than 10 years old, are they going to be willing to go in and replace that with the newer technology so that there won't be false alarms from the older technology, which is most of the time what's causing a lot of the false alarms. The technology has gotten so much better, they don't even have to drill behind walls anymore. They could just mount it. And as Deputy Chief Edelstein said, there are phone apps that you could do it. Okay, now I've personally done some research when we first started this whole discussion into a home system as to what it might cost me. There is one available in Sam's Club for under $300. Okay, and it has 2 or 3 cameras, but if you have a small house, you only need one motion detector in a corner, and it covers a really large area to include your door and windows, which is where they would most likely break in. Okay, and it has the phone app. Okay, and you don't have a monthly bill from the alarm company, strictly on your own. So you're able to do it at an affordable price. And like I said, the alarm industry is not willing to do that because that would cost them their business. So anyway, so thank you for all the research that you've done and the information you've been able to give us. I think this is a great step forward for all of us.
Thank you, Marty. Any other comments? Jody?
I have a question, Deputy. Across Arizona or even the nation, how many companies, if you have an idea, are currently using this newer technology that you're speaking of?
So anecdotally speaking, there's probably 3 that I can think of offhand. And those are large corporations that then are going to funnel that technology down to the smaller alarm providers. To completely respond, I guess, the industry itself, their model is not very regulated. Called the State Licensure Bureau. I think that's what it's called. And asked, what do I have to do to become an alarm installer? Well, whoever owns the company that I work for has to go and get their fingerprints taken and get a background check. But beyond that, there's very little regulation to the alarm industry. So my point in saying that is that there's a lot of equipment out there that's available, but the providers at the local level are not brought up to any specific standard because there are no regulations, whereas a plumber has to comply with local building codes, whereas a lot of other industries have codes to comply with. The alarm industry has actually gone in the other direction, and within the last few years, I think it was 3 years ago, actually enacted or got a law passed through the state legislature that made it against the law for us to regulate them directly as a town. So,
Any more questions? Jody?
So where is the tipping point for them to go to the new technology?
customer drive. I think it's going to be up to customers to drive this, to demand the technology, to demand the services. The other tipping point is for local government to recognize what they're doing. We are subsidizing a private industry, and that private industry, again, is composed of income from a third of our community. And so I think governments need to recognize that we are paying for a service for part of our community. And speaking completely anecdotally, I have no proof of this, but it was an article that I read. People that have alarm systems in their home are not poor. The average, financially challenged home is not going to have an alarm system in it. But guess where most burglaries are happening? There. So I think there's a potential for a disparate impact here based on income as well.
Another question, Jody?
Mm-hmm. I am seeing a trend toward citizens purchasing these type of products, and they're using them on their phones. I also have the observation that not everyone has that capability. Not everyone has, whether it's an iPhone or what have you, in the technology. Obviously, this is where we're going. I totally get that. My concern is, are we at that tipping point at this time?
So you can get a camera that will alert you for less than $100. So my stepdad recently went to work for Honeywell, and one of the things that he threw at me actually was, hey, do you want to buy a camera for my employee discount price? And it is a camera that's combined with a motion detector, and it'll do all of those things. So the cost of this technology is quite reasonable. And I'm sure if I can get one for less than $100, the alarm industry can get it for a lot less than that. And then they could have the same business model that they have now, where they install a system and then don't charge you for the system, but make you sign a contract where you have a couple of years' worth of commitment to them for a monthly charge. So I think we're there, in my opinion.
Good. Any other questions, comments? Mike?
Yeah, I just want to mention I do appreciate the work that the police department has done, and we did, I think, as council members, sit with the various members representing both the alarm providers as well as the state association. And one of the last meetings I attended, we did ask the people in attendance to give us a list in terms of what they felt we weren't doing in terms of meeting the Arizona Association recommendations. And we didn't get a list, I think we were anticipating, but I think as we've mentioned when we went through this process 3 or more years ago, that we incorporated everything that was in their list of suggestions. And I think, as you indicated, that we chose not to escalate fees over time in terms of false alarms, because, again, it just feeds into the system that we have no control of other than the alarm company and the individual, either a business person or a residential owner, has the control over that. And so my feeling is we've met those, and I agree that we're at the next step, a logical step. What do we do to reduce the number of calls? Because as council people, we do have a responsibility to use our taxpayers' dollars in a way that's going to be the most effective and efficient. And I think we've gone through the steps over the 3 or 4 years to try and reduce the false alarms that are occurring. And it is somewhat bleak, I think, to see that we anticipate a growth in this, not a decline. So this is, I think, the time that we have to do something, because, as you heard, relative to water rates and wastewater rates and
new planned communities that are on the sidelines that are going to be put online not too long from now. We have to look into the future using our 2025 plan to plan for that growth. And so I think this is another way to at least have some control of how we make use of our resources, and then ask that those that have control over alarms, and that is the alarm vendors and the homeowners and business owners, to look at what they can do to make it a more manageable process for them. And then the expectations relative to response, I don't think will be any different than it is now. But so I agree. I think it's something we need to do today and not wait any longer. And I'm not sure what else we could show that that we need to wait or put off for a different time or place. And so I personally, support the fact that we adopt this tonight as submitted.
Thank you. Can I provide one quick point? You just reminded me of something. Some of the jurisdictions who have continued with the model prevention ordinance that the alarm industry endorses have actually gotten to the point where their fines escalate, or they're just set initially at a point where business owners have hired their own security guards to go check the alarms. So when they get the call from the monitoring company, they're not even sending the cops. They're bypassing that initially anyways, because it's cheaper to spend $50 to send a couple of private security guards to your business than it is to pay the $100 fine to the city.
Right. No, I think it's a good example, and you'll see in California even where government is providing fire response in terms of wildfires, that individual homeowners are actually hiring firefighters to protect their homes. So I think, there's responsibility on both sides, and I think there's a balance there in terms of what you feel is appropriate and what you would like to see done in order to protect your property. So I agree with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, motions, emotions, commotions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign Resolution 2012 adopting as a public record the proposed amendments to Article 10-05 alarm systems.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Have the motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
Mayor, we have five yes votes and one abstention.
One
abstention.
Abstention,
with
okay.
Councilmember Rooney.
Okay. I'd say go for it, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. And if I can just quickly thank legal. Cindy worked hard on the ordinance with me to make the necessary changes, and Ivan, I'm sure you put your eyes on it at some point. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, move on to consideration of reading ordinance number 883, adopting by reference at certain public record amendments to Article 10-05 alarm systems by title only on two separate occasions and place the same on final passage. Anything else to add to that, Jim? The ordinance is okay. With that, we need an ordinance to read that.
You want me to make a motion?
Would you?
Yeah.
By all means.
Motion to read ordinance number 833, adopting by reference that certain public record amendments to Article 10-05, alarm systems, by title only on two separate occasions. Then place the same on final passage.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Rooney. Again, Mayor, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses and one abstention with Councilmember Rooney.
Okay. With that, I would ask you to read ordinance number 833 by title only for the first reading.
Ordinance number 833, an ordinance of the mayor and the common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending Chapter 10, Offenses, Article 10-05, Alarm Systems of the Prescott Valley Town Code by adopting by reference the document entitled Amendments to Article 10-05, Alarm Systems, declared by Resolution number 2012 to be a public record, which provides that the alarm company operators verify that burglar alarms are not false alarms prior to requesting law enforcement response. Imposing a civil sanction for any unverified alarms reported as verified alarms, providing that application and enforcement of the new Section 10-05-035 verified alarm response shall be on and after January 1st, 2018, providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the town code not herein amended, reenacted, or amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provision shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on to number M, consideration of reading ordinance number 834 by title only on two separate occasions and place same on final passage. Adopting amendments to Chapter 4, Police Department to the Town Code. Chief, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So this item consists of a change to the town code regarding several policies that govern the actions of employees in the police department. Just for a little bit of history, in the early 2000s, there was a couple of incidents that occurred that led to the decision that a number of high consequence policies should be approved by the town council. These policies tend to expose an organization to the greatest potential for liabilities, such as vehicle pursuits, use of force, and workplace harassment. Unfortunately, there's been some problems with this process. First, any change or modification due to changes in the law or best practices require a change in town code, which means we have to bring it back to you. This is time-consuming, and it also delays implementation of the policies. In fact, as an example, after submitting the packets to the clerk's office for distribution for this meeting, we actually had to run back and make a change on one of the policies. The second issue is that you have a staff. You have a police department led by myself and a competent command staff that has the training, knowledge, and expertise to create effective policy and to recognize it when we do. We have experience in matters concerning law enforcement that most people do not have, including members of council. So about a year ago, we contracted with a company called Lexipol. They specialize in risk management and policy creation for law enforcement. So the policies you see tonight are current, they're legal, and they're relevant to Arizona. In fact, the ones you have tonight were created by Lexipol. They were sent to the police department. We looked at them, we edited them, and modified them to make sure that they were very specific to our agency and how we do things. And then they were sent to the legal department for their review and input, and then back to you guys for final approval. So in closing, I'd ask that you accept the proposed changes. But in addition, I would respectfully ask that you consider changing the process of having the police department come before you for future changes. Thank you.
The big one.
Let me.
There's 19 policies that are brought to you.
Let me explain that a little more. You're actually being asked tonight not to adopt these policies, but to simply amend the town code to change the list of the policies. As the PD is changing its model, it's no longer calling it the general orders, but essentially readopting a policy manual, which is the way it used to do things. And it's therefore changing the types and numbers of all of the policies. There are going to be many more policies than there used to be. And so all we're doing tonight is proposing that you read, that you decide how to read an ordinance that will amend the code so that it will list a larger number of policies that are the high-risk policies in the town code. Then if you adopt that by second reading at the next meeting, then you'll actually adopt these policies by resolution at that time. So tonight, all you're doing is taking the first step to modify the town code, to change the name of the policies that are considered the high-risk policies.
Good. Any questions, comments? It was a very good policy, by the way, but it's a little bit more than I wanted to read in one day.
Mr. Mayor, I had a couple of questions. One was that, is there anything new here? I have a sense that we're pretty much just updating what we've had in our orders before.
No, there's been quite a few additions and changes and modifications.
Right.
The general orders, or what they used to call them, were, as Ivan said, were kind of vague, and some were just probably not even existent. So it's important that we continually monitor these. I used to be a part of a policy review committee, so members of the department, we would sit down on a monthly basis, and we would just continually go through our policy manual to make sure that they were current and up to date. And what we would do is, if it's, say, a use of force issue, we would involve everybody who was necessary to be involved in that decision: legal, subject matter experts, any regulatory body of the state or whatever. Same with workplace violence issues or harassment. We would then ask the Human Resource Department to provide their input on any current changes in the law, and again, legal, and so on and so forth. So we went through that process. By contracting with Lexipol, they basically do that for us. They are constantly monitoring changes within the state, and if there are any changes, either best practice or legally, then they will notify us, and then we will make those appropriate changes.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, if I might, just one other thing I need to mention. Back in 2001, 2002, when the council listed these policies, it actually, in the past, the council approved all of the policies for the police department. And so the change that occurred was to actually not approve all of the policies, just a certain number. So there was actually a reduction in the requirement back in 2002 for the items that would be approved by the council. But the reason why these were singled out, as you might recall, we had the incident where the 3 young men were killed in a pursuit. And one of the challenges, of course, was that we faced a lawsuit. And not only was it a matter of the actions of the department that were being considered by the lawyers, but it was also the policies, and whether or not our policies were reasonable policies. And so one of the things that we discussed, and I believe we talked about it with our risk managers at the AMRRP folks, was that if we adopted these high-risk policies by legislation, by the legislative body, we actually increased our immunity. And so that was one of the main reasons why that decision was made way back then. And so I have to respectfully suggest that it was actually a good decision and that this is a good process. Nevertheless, the point is, it's in our code. We're simply changing the names of the policies tonight, and then ask you to actually adopt the policies next time.
Any other questions,
I
comments?
would like to make one final comment, Mayor. In regard to the ability to legislate policy, I would respectfully disagree. You can look around the country, and there are agencies that are accredited. They've achieved this level of accreditation either by a national organization called CALEA or state organizations. And unless the agency does things the proper way, those accreditations don't mean anything. And you can look at Punta Gorda, Florida, and Schaumburg, Illinois. Those were 2 organizations that were nationally accredited and did not follow the things that they said that they were getting accredited for. So my point is, you can have policies, you can have them in your ordinance, you can have them wherever, but if the police department doesn't follow them, which is where I come in, it doesn't matter. They're useless. And you still expose yourself to liability. Just a fact.
It looked like a pretty detailed policy to me. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Motions? Anyone?
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to read Ordinance 834 by title only on two separate occasions, then place the same on final passage.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will you set the vote, Dan?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I would ask Diane to read ordinance number 834 by title only for the first reading. Diane?
Ordinance number 834, an ordinance of the mayor and the common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending the section 4-01-040 departmental rules and regulations in Article 4-01 Police Department in Chapter 4 Police Department of the Town Code to designate the high-risk policies to conform to a new Prescott Valley Police Department policy manual to be adopted and amended by council action, providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the Town Code not herein amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provisions shall not be affected, but shall continue in full force and effect, and continuing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we got one more item I'd like to cover before we, as we move on, and that's comments from the public. Consideration and discussion of general unscheduled comments from the public. Those wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. Anyone care to make any public comments? Yeah, come on up, Martha.
Thank you, and my name is Martha Duncan, and I've sat there so long, almost don't have any circulation. This is in regards to, of course, you know I left a letter up there, but I want to do the reading. It's just a matter of public record. It'll just take a minute because I know you have a lot of places to go. The letter again will recite the continued opposition of the rezoning of Parcel B in the Prescott Country Club in Dewey. The opposition comes from not only the adjacent property owners, but all the residents and the concerned citizens that have appeared and signed petitions in the past before you for the last 3 years. They have faithfully appeared before Planning and Zoning and Council and have written numerous letters and offered sound oppositions, opinions, and provided proof of damage to their property and the potential property damage. Through continued research, they have also provided state and town statutes that have not been met according to the annexation and zoning ordinances for municipalities and towns. They have been ignored. They have been frustrated, and this is the people in the country club. They have been frustrated and have reached out to the Arizona Attorney General, the state legislature, the ombudsman, and other legislative bodies. The town has been found guilty of violations that have been served and put on, as such as public meeting violations, and they were out of compliance. Still, they march forward, ignoring the rights of the property owners and the family members of this community. The real issue is not the proposed building of the condos or townhomes in the middle of the 3 fairways, which will damage the golf course, the views, the open space, the viability, and the playability. The primary issue is that the area was designated as open space. It's a matter of county record. It's a matter of town record when it came to the Community Development Department. There's a letter, and I stated this last time that we were here, that Richard Parker had reached out to Steve Mock of the Yavapai County and offered we're going to annex these particular portions, and on that letter it specifically says that Parcel B is open space. Richard asked. Steve Mock concurred, yes, Parcel B is open space. However, that comes to the county doesn't have specific designation as open space. It comes over as R1L, and since 1983, that was designated as open space, we believe that it should remain. Unknown to the 3,000 homeowners of Prescott Country Club in Dewey, the attachment of the 135 acres, this is a portion of, in 2013 is still questionable, and it's under review by legal counsel. The boundaries border 600 or more homes, and not one person ever around that 135 acres had any knowledge whatsoever of that annexation, and that's proved. There were 12 signatures in the Tapadero Wastewater District Board. That was the annexation, and unknown to anybody, that 135 acres was added, and nobody knew that. That's clearly a violation of zoning and state statutes. As of today, we, the residents, are requesting that you live up to your reputation and working and representing for the people who elect you. You have an obligation to research the issues that come before you which have such an impact on the homeowners and residents of this town and community. You have an obligation to protect the property value and not destroy it. We are again asking you to vote no on the rezoning application of the ordinance that was before you, and any time that it comes up. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other public comment? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Hello. My name is John Mariella. I live on High Point Drive in Unit 6 of the Prescott Country Club. And my main comment is about the chip seal and the quality of it. And it was a couple years ago that our High Point Drive was chip sealed. And there was a lot of aggregate left on the roadway, even after the job was done. And about a year later, I think the city came through and cleaned up some of the aggregate and cleaned some driveways. But even to this day, High Point Drive continues to produce, in my opinion, an excessive amount of aggregate leaching onto our driveways and toted into our houses on the bottoms of our shoes and scratching up floors. There is no sidewalk adjacent to High Point Drive, and a lot of local residents used to walk their dogs along High Point Drive, which was good for social interaction and good for us that lived on High Point Drive because we could easily walk our pets without having sharp aggregate under their feet. However, far fewer people will come down our street anymore to walk their dogs, and that's sad because it was a great opportunity for social interaction for everybody. But also, if we're going to walk our pets, it's almost incumbent on us to leave our street and go to another street that has either better chip seal or sidewalks. And so the chip seal for me has been, from a personal perspective, a lose-lose for me on High Point Drive. Thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you. I think we refer to our town manager. He'll check into that. Thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate that, John. Anyone else? Any other comments? Kirk, no comments tonight? Okay. With that, we have one other item we've got to take into consideration. That's a Community Facilities District Board meeting. And I'd like to ask if we can have a motion to recess, and we'll go into that Facilities District meeting.
I'll make that motion to recess, Mayor.
Okay, second, anyone?
I'll second the motion.
Set the vote, Diane.
Mayor,
One
if I
moment,
may,
please, Mayor.
before we vote, I have a question of Ivan. Is there a problem with changing the agenda to come out of the written agenda to go to the CFD, or do we have to do the executive session first?
No, Councilmember Anderson, we are going to go ahead, and I'm modifying the next step right now so that we can go ahead and recess briefly to do the CFD and then come back in.
Okay,
I think we're okay.
Just wanted to make sure.
Just give me a few seconds here.
No problem.
Okay. I think we had a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, we have a second.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. So you can set the vote when you're ready.
Okay, Councilmember Mallory, you made the motion, and
My Councilmember Whiting, second.
Whiting did the second. Okay, we will see if we vote. That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call this to order, and you can do the roll call, Diane.
Yes, Mayor. However, I'm going to leave my other program up here right now, so I'll just be dealing with the hard copy like you. Chairman Skoog.
Present.
Vice Chairman Nye is absent this evening. Board Member Grossman.
Here, yes.
Yes, yes. Board Member Anderson.
Here.
Board Member Mallory.
Here.
Board Member Whiting.
Yes.
And Board Member Rooney. Here. Thank you. You have a quorum, Vice
Okay.
Chairman.
Consent agenda, do you want to read that,
Yes.
Mary?
Consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the district boards and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items, and if discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately for discussion and possible action. A, approval of July 13 and 20, 2017 CFD minutes.
Anyone would care to pull the item for discussion or just make a motion to pass it?
Let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion. A second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second the motion.
Want to set the vote for that, Diane?
Yes, Chairman. How do you wish to vote?
Yes. Well, mine didn't show up for some reason.
That's because I have not loaded it, sir.
Oh, okay.
Board Member Grossman.
Yes.
Board Member Rooney.
Yes.
Board Member Whiting.
Yes.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Mallory.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, a new business for review, comment, and or action. Consideration of authorizing the chairman to sign resolution number 27, adopting a development agreement with Gratitude Foundation Incorporated for an annual payment to allow counting of designated parking spaces in Parkway CFD number 1 toward off-street parking requirements. Richard, we've discussed this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just really quickly, I hope you keep Ivan around. I was hoping to stick around for that executive session, but I guess you're going to have to boot me out. He has a shark head that you should make him wear in order to continue his employment. But I just want to put on record the gratitude that the staff has to Stepping Stones Agency and their leadership. Robin Burke, also recognize a member of my group, Fernando Gonzalez. This is an opportunity to follow suit in an action taken by the council this evening to approve this agreement, which would cause payments to come from a nonprofit to the CFD in order to be able to use the public parking fields. With that, I would remark regarding this or anything else you have questions about.
Questions, anyone? Comments? Motions? Promotions, demotions, commotions?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor,
Okay.
to authorize the chairman, or in his absence, the vice chairman, to sign resolution number 27, adopting a development agreement with the Gratitude Foundation, Inc. for an annual payment to allow counting of designated parking spaces in the PCFD number 1 towards the Prescott Valley off-street parking requirements.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second, anyone?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
Yes, Mayor.
I'm going to put yes.
Chairman Skoog, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
I did that too.
Board Member Mallory?
Yes.
Board Member Rooney?
Yes.
Board Member Whiting?
Yes.
Board Member Anderson?
Yes.
And Board Member Grossman?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor,
And
for
I
passage.
guess there's no public comment here tonight for that.
No.
So we have one more item to cover, and that's something everybody hates, and that's to adjourn. Anyone care to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. You want to call the vote, Diane?
Chairman Skoog?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Rooney.
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
As board member Anderson,
member.
yes.
Oh, yes, of course. Board member, I'm sorry. Board member Mallory.
Yes, I did that
And
too.
did I say Chairman Skoog? Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's all done.
that's unanimous.
Now we'll reconvene in the regular session. And the first thing we need is a motion to convene into executive session. Anyone care to
I'll
make
make
that?
a motion, Mayor, to convene into executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, second. Call the vote, Diane.
Actually, Mayor, it should be back on your screen now.
Okay, it's not showing up.
Move the.
What do I do?
It's not showing up?
I don't see it.
No vote on there.
I don't see anything. No.
Did you load the vote? Or are you just loading the motion?
I loaded the motion, waiting for a motion.
Anyway, my vote would be yes.
It's not coming out?
No.
Oh, shoot.
It's not showing to vote.
Okay, all right. Let us do this then, like we have been. Chairman Skook.
Yes.
No, it's mayor and council.
Yes,
That, right?
that's what just went through my head too. It's like, wait a minute.
Chairman, yes.
Excuse me, gentlemen and ladies.
Mayor, whatever you want.
Okay, we are back to Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
Could I suggest that you go ahead and read the motion? Since you're having trouble with your electronics, why don't you go ahead and have someone read the motion and second it, just so that we're on the record and good, and then
She did
go
read
ahead
the
and have
motion.
your vote.
I thought, what motion?
It was read.
Did someone read the
I
motion?
did read it.
It was read.
It
I
was
read
read.
all that.
Then I didn't hear that. I apologize.
And are you on the board or are you in the?
Would you like to hear it again?
wanna
She
hear it
did a
again?
really good job. Would you like to hear it again?
I apologize. Yeah, really, yeah. That's a good way to start.
I think we're all getting giddy.
I don't know.
Don't know
What are we doing?
I thought we were still on the motion to convene into executive.
Number 11.
Yeah, and I made that motion, and now,
We read the motion, it was seconded.
so now we just need a vote, and we can't make this machine work.
Okay, who was the second on the motion? Was that Grossman?
No, it was
Whiting?
Oh, for goodness
Anderson?
sakes, I'll second.
Pick one.
Rick. Rick did it.
If necessary, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Let's do it. My pleasure.
Councilmember Anderson.
My pleasure.
Okay, now,
Good job.
for the vote. How do you wish to vote? Councilmember Rooney.
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory.
Yep.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
Let's do it. That is unanimous.
Okay, you want us to recess for a couple of minutes while you reset your thing or anything? Or are we ready to go to work?
Set your thing, would you please? Oh, my God.